one of the most important things that I've learned over the years is that it's not necessarily an either-or decision, that we can have both and in terms of the different conversations we're a part of. And what I mean by that is, so for example, when I was growing up, I felt like you either had to be a religious person or an atheist, and I would go back and forth between those two things. Or I had to be an academic or a non-academic. Or I had to be the person who came from my family or an entirely new person. And what I would say is that the biggest thing that I've learned over the years is that it's not necessarily an I have to stay or I have to go question. And so, for example, I'll give you the example of Catholicism, which I almost shudder to say out loud right now, given what's going on in the world with Catholicism. But anyway, I grew up Catholic, and I still have all sorts of issues with the tradition, and all sorts of teachings with the tradition. However, Catholicism is more to me than the Vatican. Catholicism is my heritage. It's my mother and my grandmother, and it's my family, and it's the community I grew up in. And so one of the things that I think is so important, or such a turning point for me, was recognizing that I could be Catholic, and I could also sort of be, claim that tradition as mine, and also claim elsewhere too. And because by leaving Catholicism, despite my frustrations with it, I also leave behind my mother and my grandmother. And one of the things I feel so grateful to the Catholic tradition is for giving me back my mother and my grandmother after they both passed away. When I walk into a Catholic church, I am with them, and I feel grateful for that. And so I feel like learning to embody both spaces is very important. And the other example I'll give you is that, so for example, me owning my Catholicism, despite all of these struggles that I have, is so disruptive to the Catholic Church, in the sense that I feel like part of what we get to do when we stay, even if there is a struggle there, is that we get to be disruptive. And so I'm not necessarily the package that people expect a Catholic to come in, or a Catholic speaker to come in, or especially in this dress, for example, and with my long hair, and with my brain. And so anyway, I feel like Sex and the Soul, this project that I've recently did, is like the biggest trick I've ever pulled off, in the sense that people read it and they listen to the young people, but they also think, I don't know, male academic, even though they see my name, I think, on the cover. And so I am invited into so many different spaces, and I show up in my colorful dress and my long brown hair, and I talk about all sorts of, they sort of cede the floor to me. And so I get to be a disruption in so many communities because I've stayed. And so I get to be here, and I also get to be there. So anyway, I would ask that you think about that, because I often think, I know that the young women in my classes especially think, I have to go in order to be me. And I'm not sure that's really the case.